Yeah.
Seriously? Oh my goodness! Just want to know. I have a question before we begin. Who drew Ed's avatar? It looks like one of our programmers did it.
Soulless. Soulless did. Was he? Or was it you, Ryan?
No, that Solus gets to claim that one. That's not my work.
Oh, excellent! That's nice. That's awesome. Because it wasn't your style, definitely. So I thought it's someone else. But there's definitely a resemblance. It does look like Ed.
The better version of me somehow.
Definitely.
Definitely like
The more social one, for sure. Ed's a bit of a gregarious misanthrope too. He needs
No, I'm
people.
not.
Okay, how often do I see you outside the house, man?
Okay, let's just move on. And
let's move on.
Skip the question.
And Ed's very much into his art, and we're very thankful for his existence because he works literally day and night on the collection.
Yeah, don't we all? Yeah. So, welcome everybody. This session is going to hopefully cover general concept behind our project, and we'd like to share all the partners, the team, the story, everything. And this is Pip. So I'll just give the word to Ed.
I'm the kind of like the lead artist. Basically, what you need to know about me is that I've been in game development since 2005, on and off different scales of projects, and since the last couple of 5 or 6 years, I've been a freelancer. Yeah, give or take. So yeah, pretty much about me, Mango.
Wow, that's a really detailed kind of introduction. The first time Ed said Ed had been drawing his whole life, as you can read in his bio. So definitely that's a step up. To be quite frank, guys, I think we did the perfect AMA session yesterday evening. And it's one of those where I don't believe that it can ever be recorded and repeated because we apparently had some technical difficulties and it could not be preserved as any other form of ephemeral art. But I was coming off a sauna and everybody was really chill after a busy work day, and I think the vibe was definitely groovy. So I expect much less of us today, and for this to be just a mere hollow shadow of last night's session. So before I begin, maybe Zhu should introduce himself again, and I'll start with my participation in the project and with our companies behind it.
Yeah. So hi everybody. I'm Zhu. I'm an IT Extreme Sports guy, and I serve as the community manager and whatnot. Also I'm working on part of the tech side and developing the utility concepts and the roadmap and stuff like that. And yeah, that's about me.
And he also works in a major global IT company. So this shall not be named, eh?
It shall not be named, but yeah, I develop security software for big corporations, mainframe servers. Yeah.
For the dark side, basically.
But I also really believe in blockchain and the future of decentralization.
That's why we're here, aren't we all? All right. So
decentralize it.
Yeah, exactly. So be resistors of the system. So my real name is Vasil Tujkov. I'm the founder and CEO of StudioRubik.com, and I'm also a partner at MotionSoftware.com. You can check our site at motion-software.com. And these two brands, Motion is the remote work platform that basically creates dedicated teams for companies across the globe in the fintech, medtech, IT sectors, blockchain as well. We've got 120 plus programmers, and we have offices in Bulgaria, Romania, the Ukraine and London. And StudioRubik.com is a disruptive creative company. So it's a full-scale advertising agency focusing on UX, UI, on branding, on guerrilla marketing, and on viral videos. We've got about 50 million views for brands such as Red Bull, Audi, and a lot of blockchain projects behind us. Me and my partner Christo, we've been working on Blocktrip, on Nexo, if you know them, and we're in partnership with Evedo, the blockchain event company, and Fragment, the first platform for decentralized, fragmented art, where more than one person can own collectively a piece of a larger artwork. Like, let's say, imagine owning a piece of the Mona Lisa. We're also partnered with Sublimes, the beautiful animated chicks, in an NFT collection that was exclusive of about 1,000 pieces that sold recently. That's pretty much the team behind it. Aside from that, before I started being an entrepreneur and being involved in business, my background is in writing and filmmaking. So I wrote my first novel at 15 and published at 17. And I took a big hiatus recently when I was working on for brands and for clients. And It Remains was kind of my walk back home to my essence. It happened during quarantine that I got together with my neighbor and childhood friend Ed, the artist of this collective, and I introduced him to my concept. I'm the creator of the It Remains concept, and he turned a lot of my ideas into visual reality. We kind of hit the collaboration hard, and during quarantine and during our time off, we've been drawing and writing profusely under the influences of mind-altering substances, depression, sleep deprivation, and other nice ingredients, sugar, spice, and everything nice, to arrive at this controversial, crazy project that we never thought anybody would be interested in. But the moment we showed it to anybody, they would commit to working even pro bono at first for it to become something greater and live its own life. I've been interested in blockchain since 2013, where I used to mine Bitcoin with flat Chinese cables that would nearly burn the house every time. And I've been through ups and downs, losing my private keys and so on. So I've been in the game quite a lot, then consulted and did motion graphic animations and white papers for other crypto projects. And finally, our interests in the arts and technology collided with the boom of the NFT market. Now, let me get this straight. This project is in no way influenced by the overnight sensation that NFT has become. We've been on it since I found out about ERC 721, and CryptoKitties really blew my mind, the first non-copyable asset on the internet. So ever since then, I've been thinking about it, but it has never been the sole purpose. And this is not a project that's interested in the speculation of it, more like something that is here to stay and develop its own lore, its own background, its own metaverse, and integration within other projects. So that's my reaction. And Ju offered, let's turn this whole novel that you guys have been working on in the style of Neil Gaiman, Sandman, and Dark Horse, and really thick adult comics with beautiful art. Let's turn it into something new. Let's get it on the blockchain. And when I tell you the story, you see how much it fits the NFT premise of our story. And that's pretty much the introduction before I get into details of the story itself and the questions that are to follow. But more or less, this has been our journey. And thus far, you can check some of our stuff that we've done for companies such as Trading 212 and a lot of fintech and blockchain, where we know how to grow with hack and how to create hype. But with this project, we wanted to keep it as real as possible and create a community of true believers and fans of the genre, Diamond Heads, fans of Dune, of Beksinski and Geiger, the inventor of Alien, of True Stories, of Mad Max, kind of really appreciators of arts and computer games before we start, promoting for flippers to come. So for us, it's been very important to grow organically and steadily and find our right people for this thing, because we have a lot of things in store coming, such as a full-blown, graphic novel, physical book. We have high-resolution prints to give to our holders, action figures, a mini game that we're dropping soon, and a game and an integration within other metaverse projects aligned with our vision for the future of the It Remains franchise. So, having said that, Pip, would you like to start with the questions, and I can maybe shed some light around the story of It Remains and intertwine it with the questions?
Sounds good to me. So
You
you
guys-
guys,
This,
yeah.
I was going to say, do you want me to lead you off with a question?
Yeah, buddy, that works fine. Totally.
Okay.
Let's keep it fresh and without too much restriction in form.
Gotcha. Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not part of the team. I will go back to the audience after this. I'm just a successful troll. But I did want to. It seems like the majority of the accessories that are on the characters currently are from a modern timeline. So, to me, that would lead to the conclusion that the plot line or the turmoil that's about to take place is in the near future. Would you say that's accurate?
That's very interesting, what you're saying, to be quite frank, because let's say a concept or an artwork is yours only as long as you have control over it, as you're writing or drawing it and you haven't shown it to anybody. The moment it gets out of hand and somebody reads it and starts interpreting it in their own way, it belongs now to the audience. So that's what really inspires me, and the way I see that the story starts, how it starts living through everyone that sees it and changing and altering, because ultimately it is a story of change. Now, what you said in the near future, I would say that it's in the really, really distant future, the way I've seen it. So imagine a place, a world like ours, maybe too much like ours, where it's really undefined. It's not a story of definition, as you've probably noticed, and everything loses definition with each step away from the Yellowmouth. So imagine this world at the brink of erasure. Let's say a planet after 1,000 civilizations of upheaval and demise, where we see this leftover of a world stacked upon stacks of past glory, and the only materials left would be sand, plastic, and bones. And at the center of everything, there is this yellow lake, this mysterious swallowing pit that is dragging and sucking in the world into itself very, very slowly. So if you look at it, you wouldn't even be able to tell that the surface, or what locals call world skin, is moving towards the Yellowmouth, another name for the mysterious lake that locals use. So these locals are actually, we are introduced to two characters, it and its father, because all other forms and definitions such as she or he have vanished into the ether, and what is left is it and its father, it and it remains. So these two resistors walk each day, day after day, they take upon the walk, that's what they call it, to walk the walk. They start off by the shores of the Yellowmouth, and they start walking in the opposite direction, walking and feeding on bone marrow, and its father teaching its son of the ways of the olden past, like the last archivists of the old world. And as they walk only enough so that when they would stop to sleep, they wake up before the shores of yellow and not beyond them. Imagine when they're sleeping, the world is slowly moving towards yellow underneath them, and you can only feel it ever so slightly with your body. Around the yellow mouth, if you approach it and you're holding, let's say, a knife, and you dip that knife into yellow, and you take it out, you will find your hand fused with the metal. Long live the new flesh in Cronenberg's honor. But basically there would be hairs and teeth and veins all over the surface of that knife, which is now embedded into your own flesh. If you dip the hand again and you shake it a little bit under yellow, it frees itself and you can attach other things. So these attachments, the resistors call addings, and they can be various forms such as legs, arms, limbs, knives, blunt tools, anything to enable them to live to help them in this survival in the hostile environment such as theirs. And you can often find absurd items such as satellite dishes, Oscar dolls, maybe a dildo, that they don't know exactly what the original purpose was, but they find new ways to apply them. And if you put too many addings on, the addings begin to weigh down on a resistor, and the resistor slowly becomes a sitter, someone who has given up and is eventually taken by the yellow mouth. So this is pretty much the main concept. The yellow mouth does not have a taste. It is not painful, nor hot, nor cold. If you stick long enough around it and stare into its wobbly yellow, you would probably a word will start forming in your head, and that word would be home. That's why its father teaches its son not to stare for too long at yellow. And at the end of Act 1, there's a plot twist, and everything that its son has been taught is challenged with an act that I shall not reveal yet. But that's pretty much it. And the walk of resistance is a metaphor, in a way, for our daily struggles, getting out of bed, going to work. Why keep going? Why keep doing it? Every time you make a choice not to kill yourself, you're making the choice to continue and to resist. And everything inside this world is pretty much a father and son story through the twisted prism of Geiger's art and Beksinski and all the influences that we had, but is ultimately a metaphor for our own world. And because plastic and junk, it's the junk NFT that someone has called us before. It's been a big inspiration to us. I went around the city and took photos of homeless people, of bums, with their nearly sci-fi outfits made of nylon bags and rags. And I took these photos to Ed, who turned them into the concept art that we now see. So because of that, I think that art should really sting, and there should be a message and a provocation. I was really conflicted when I was doing that, but ultimately it was for the purpose of having our project raise awareness to plastic alternatives and raise donations also for housing projects and to help the homeless. So our project is one with a cause as well, which we're trying to communicate, and I'm not sure how well we've been able to do it thus far. There were several articles that came in environment magazines, but more or less this is the backstory of our collective and of the story itself. Sorry for the really long answer, man.
No, man, that's awesome. Thank you for all that.
Hey, feel free to ask anything else if need be. I know it's we started with a mysterious approach where we wanted to give little by little from the chapters, and kind of build the story, but we realized that it's so abstract and such a huge world that we've been drawing and producing over the last 3 years that we need to say some things as they are, as not to keep them so vague and mysterious. And then again, it's really hard to be short about something like that. It's like the Jean-Paul Sartre quote, "I'm writing you a long letter because I don't have time for a short one."
It was, judging from what you asked us yesterday, there was like a question related to cooperation. What fuels or what fueled me and Vasil to keep on doing the novel? I mean, it's as a side gig, for 3 years. I guess we'll talk about it a bit later, but yeah, generally it's just seeing something grow over time, somehow starting as abstract and as vague as possibly it could be, and seeing it solidify into concrete matter, junk, and whatever.
Awesome. Maybe
I'd like to add a little bit on that as well.
Sure.
Yesterday there was the question, which was really funny. I think we were all more exhausted and maybe a little bit more authentic in our exhaustion. They asked, "How was it? Was it easy working together and collaborating with someone you've known for a while, like a friend?" With Ed, and Ed said, "It's not easy." Period. That was it. And I was like, "What are you doing, man? What do you mean?" But my 2 cents on it is basically that for me, I've always been inspired by this guy ever since we were kids. Like, I used to draw back in the day until I saw him draw and knew that I need to find another hobby because his work was stunning from the first scratch. It took him a lot to develop to where he is, going through game design and so on, and kind of then forfeiting the game design industry to explore and find himself. And we were like, "You're crazy, Ed. You could be working for Blizzard. Everybody wants you," and so on. But he took the other way, the artist approach, and I think that's what keeps his brushstroke really free form. And I've tried to collaborate with him on different projects back in the day. We've done paid work together, for my agency or for other clients. And anytime it's been like commercial, we've always had like it's been a drag, or I'm talking to Ed and he's not enjoying what he's doing. I'm over his head, "Please finish that, man," and so on. So the friendship was better than the collaboration, so to speak. And with this one, when I showed it to him, because it was super weird and it came in a time of my life where I was just going through a divorce, kind of. My 7-year-old relationship was ending, and this was my only escape from work or from anywhere else where I didn't have a target audience, I didn't have clients, I didn't have anybody to please. And it came from somewhere deep within, this super raw concept. And when I presented it to Ed, something weird happened. He immediately clicked with it and started drawing. And because I wanted to tell a story where everything was losing definition, and I couldn't use terms such as, "it looks like a building, it was as big as a boat," or something like that. What I couldn't say, Eddie could draw. And a graphic novel was the perfect form for our story. But what's even more interesting was that Eddie not only started to draw, but he would work on the novel when I would give up on it at different moments. We would push each other, and he would send me some art, and I was like, "Holy shit, this really sticks," And maybe that's the purpose of good storytelling, is to bring people together and to make them collectively dream, share a common dream that is not restricted just to one head, and it is really something that's channeled through us. So I saw that the story that was initially mine and coming from me was now running through him and through his own filtration system, and that it was slowly starting to live its own life and change before my eyes, like nothing I had imagined at first. So that was really reassuring and validating, and a big push to go on, because it was a pet project, something completely unorthodox that was in no way meant to be a commercial project. And it was taking shape more and more with each day passed, and it took us more than 3 years to arrive at a finished first draft. So we didn't know what we'd done and if it was even digestible in any way, until we introduced it to Ju and to Pip and to other people, and they were like, completely in on it right away, and we didn't need to validate or to pitch. The idea kind of stuck, and language, I believe, is a virus. So the language of our story really infected a lot of people fast, and I hope it does more in the future. That's it.
So if you guys have any questions, if you wish to join, you know what to do.
Yeah,
Else,
feel free to interrupt us and ask anything as well. It's
yep.
fine.
Else, if not, maybe we can jump into the collection, what the NFT represents. What are these things you see? Which is kind of interesting subject here.
Well, I can introduce it, and Zhu can speak a little bit more of the utility of our project. So, what you see, the it and it, the it remains resistors, is the story of the father and son. We have it and its father as the first resistors being revealed. I'm not going to say there are any more characters in the lore of our setting. And all the different variations that you see in their hands are addings, things that they found and encountered and dipped into yellow that became part of their flesh for a while to serve them or for them to become subservient to. We won't know until that part of the story is revealed. But you will see a lot of absurd combinations. And we're talking about generative art. So we're not even making up those. We created different arms and legs and backgrounds that are mixed on a random principle. And every adding that you see, every attribute is hand painted by Ed himself. So we don't have any flips, any change of color automatically. And also, we're really trying to convey quality storytelling and artwork with this project. And we're kind of opposed to some projects that we can encounter in the NFT ecosystem, such as fake bored apes being flipped over and just flipper projects with no actual, artistic value. Even though beauty is in the eye of the beholder, we really try to go deep with our project and not just skim the surface and make a quick buck. You can tell you a little bit more about the utility as well, now that I've opened the subject.
Yeah, sure. We actually had a question about the utility of the NFTs, and what we have a long-term vision about it. But what we want to deliver first is the graphic novel, of course. And what we plan to do is first release it digitally, the first act, and grant exclusive access to the NFT holders to that, and then release a really high quality physical graphic novel that we are also going to drop to holders. And part of our plan is to also do that with high quality prints and action figures. So we are actually really fans of manga and graphic novels and comics. That's our main goal, to deliver the story through this medium because of our love for the blockchain tech and what it gives to us.
Yeah, it's from the fans for the fans. Basically, we're all fans of those, so we're putting our heart and soul into this.
For future vision of the project, we would like to start building on the metaverse, like in combination with different projects like Sandbox or Decentraland, buy land and give people from the community opportunity to build on the land, to create the world on the metaverse, create play to earn experiences and stuff like that. It's really what we are aiming at, to build both in the physical world and the metaverse.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure at all, yeah.
I would just like to plug in and rewind a little to express a feeling I personally had, and I feel that maybe the artist and the writer would have it too. And everyone involved. We have something we've been looking at for a long time, and we wanted to share it with the audience. We wanted to share it with you. So we did, and it was just so precious seeing you guys like having these avatars with our creatures and just like talking of the concept of the novel and liking it, and it was just amazing to see how the community started tapping in to the story and liked it. And this is where we are aiming. We want to give this to you, and we want you to like feel it the way we feel it, because it's kind of awesome story and awesome art.
Thanks, man. Also, for me, it was really weird as I was pitching it originally, the idea to my team of marketers and programmers and web designers that we've only spoken with these people of, commercial projects for big brands and clients, and all of a sudden everybody's talking about the yellow mouth and resistors and any partners that we bring in. And it's very surreal to watch it from the side and see how the community is growing and how it's getting out of hand and how this idea and this concept is no longer yours but belongs to the people. And we have a lot of plans for future integration, like in the, let's say, Neil Gaiman Sandman universe. There are many other writers that have written on it, or let's say Batman. You have so many different writers with different stories and comics about this character. So we're setting kind of the premise for a lot of artwork and games and stories to come within our world, because it is way broader than what has been shown. We've shown very little of it actually, and we wanted to keep it exclusive for our holders. I do hope that you give us some feedback of what is understood and what not, so we can do a better job at communicating the story. Because even if you have, let's say, a great joke, you can ruin it with poor delivery or being too vague about it, or you can tell a really stupid joke with a stone face and great delivery. So structure and delivery of message is very important, and that's where we can fail. And we need you guys to be our guide in this and to call us on our bullshit and to tell us where we need to, be better and shed some more light into the story.
I think we covered more of the concept behind the project, our plans. So I guess maybe it's time to jump onto the questions, if you guys feel the same. And the audience, if you wish, you could also join and ask here on the live, or just write your question into the AMA session chat. But yeah, guys, how do you feel? Should we go to the questions?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Okay. I will hit up the questions, and then maybe some whoever feels just catches on. Okay. So the first one is from Sidkara NFT. Okay, how did you get inspired to write the story?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think you touched this point, but do you want to add something on this?
Yeah, this again. Yesterday, I think I was telling it for the first time. So I'm a big fan of sauna and cold showers and new age bullshit like that, kind of the Goggins, Joko generation. And as I was sitting one day after snowboarding in this spa in the steam bath, I saw that the ceiling had these little moon lights, and one of them wasn't working. It was almost burnt out, but it had these yellow weird spots. And as I was sitting there dehydrated and dizzy, I started imagining this being the macro, like aerial view of a canyon, and deep within it there would be a yellow pool, some mysterious lake that the locals worship, like a god of their own. And the story slowly started to, form in my head. I sat down and I wrote the first of it, and I believe the first time I sat and I found the voice of it and its father being super raw. At that time, I was taking some drugs. To be quite frank, haven't done that for quite a while, a few years now. But it was during a moment after my divorce, and it was very drug induced. So I would sit down drinking and smoking and snorting and whatnot, and just would write and write and write until I found the voice. And the first time I sat down, it was like a Jack Kerouac kind of situation where I didn't get up from the table until 80 pages were down or something like that, and my waist was killing me, and I was stiff as a board. But that was it, the first thing. And then I was afraid that it would be way too weird for people to understand it. So when I showed it to Ed and he liked it, I was like, this is definitely too weird because Ed is a weirdo, right? And eventually, some people that were less weirdos saw it and took a liking into it. And ever since then, we've been doing a lot of sober editing because that's the way to go in order to make the story more human and more relatable. Because it really came from a place between the worlds. That's it. Steam Bath is what created It Remains.
That's, yeah, a cool fact, actually. Okay, we should move on to the next. From Toman B. Is there a main character in your story? And whether all the characters you have created will be NFTs. So, if I understand that correctly, maybe are all the characters involved into the story going to be an NFT? Maybe this is the question. So,
You'll have to stick around to find out. First, we get to meet it and its father, the last remaining archivists of the old knowledge. Ultimately, it is a story of change, how the old does not want to change, and we know that well, all too well, with our parents, with us as we grow older, the nostalgia of how things used to be, of how everything back in the day was better, that kind of whole human condition. And here, what refuses to change with change becomes, irrelevant and obsolete and gets swallowed by the yellow mouth. So as its father tries to preserve, its son is what becomes ultimately more dominant as the story progresses because he's more prone to change and adaptation. And we get to meet these two resistors first, and of course, that's for Act 1. Later, perhaps there'll be a lot more shown, but 2 is enough for now. A father and son story, or the beginning of another one.
moving on to the next from Smoke Bomb NFT. Tell us more about the collab with Dark Horizon and how do you feel about future collabs?
That's in your ballpark, Ju.
Yeah, let me start with that. So, actually, I was part of the community of Dark Horizon before the mint last year, just in October, I think. I really like their cyberpunk dystopian concept. I loved the art and what they're building, and they never stopped building even after they sold out. It's been almost half a year, and they keep building and keep working on the project with all they have. So I think that's the way to go, and for the future, we will definitely look into more collabs with such great projects that actually care about what they deliver. I think the collaborations is the way to go in the NFT space. We are here to support each other and to build great stuff and communities together. We definitely we are actually considering more collaborations at the moment. We just need to get them confirmed, and we'll let you know.
Okay. So yeah, definitely we all believe that collaborations is the way to go in this space where you have a project that actually depends on an actual value, actual art that you want to show. So artists support each other in this community, and this is where we are going. This is what we are looking for. So yeah, we're open-minded to this, and yeah, we move on to that direction.
We remain.
We remain. Moving on to the next. Um, Interesting would be to know why you decided to launch an NFT and why did you decide to do it in this medium? I think we touched this point already.
Yeah, I think we answered that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but just to mention again, we believe in the decentralized future and we love storytelling, graphic novels, manga, and everything related to it, and blockchain tech and the evolution it brings to the people. That's why.
So maybe a message to all of you anime, manga, and comic book fans out there: share your tops with us. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Show us great art that we can collaborate with. You know, we're big fans of Dune, of Jet Vandermeer's Annihilation, the movie with Natalie Portman. I took this horror writers workshop with Brian Evanson a few years ago in Transylvania in Dracula's castle, and what was great that it kind of got me started on this idea where the yellow mouth and It Remains is more like a sensory experience. You keep forgetting, and nothing is spoken as it is the next day, as the day it was before. Yet something inside you leaves this sensation where it's almost like the H.P. Lovecraft thing. Everything in your body is screaming you should leave, but you decide to stay. And it sticks with you. This kind of psychological horror sci-fi that the Strugatsky brothers and Tarkovsky has left us with Solaris and with Stalker. So it's this in David Lynch with Twin Peaks and so on. It's this feeling inside of not showing too much and not saying it, but kind of creating the premise for these primal instincts and primal fears that we've all had, like a sleep paralysis or weird lucid dreaming, you know, or psychedelic experience even, where they're beyond the explained. But if we could convey them with feelings, you would know what I mean. Yeah, that's kind of the goal for it, and for the yellow mouth. And you'll let me know when you read the story if I've done a half decent job.
Yeah, we really appreciate feedback, and uh, this is just a way for us to sharpen ourselves, to polish ourselves, and we really cherish that. Be critical, but yeah, feel free to do it. So, the next one. What is
Be
behind?
brutal, but be gentle.
Yeah, well said. What is behind partnering with not one, but two development studios, Studio Rubik and Motion Software? So,
Well, our
yeah,
our
you go.
companies are kind of like the backbone of what we're doing. We have web designers, we have programmers, we have blockchain world and in crypto, and we plan to use those and develop further. But we're really trying to build this with our organic growth at first and not force it. We're not going crazy about hypes and bull runs and so on. Even though we are going to mint most likely soon this month. We're trying not to do too many guerrilla and viral campaigns, but to build a hardcore audience before we move into attracting the attention of flippers and doing some conventional marketing. But it's good to have two companies of 120 plus people behind us if we ever need something like development of a game or websites or social media marketing or design services. So rest assured that your favorite Beyond Dystopian weird resistors project is in good hands, and it will be developed by professionals that have worked for some of the biggest brands in the world.
So the next question is actually again for the utility of the collection. So should we summarize here? I think we already touched the point. Or
Yeah, I think we already explained about the utility.
Yeah.
If anybody needs it, so it's a graphic novel, full res prints, action figures, a game to come, an environmental cause for plastic alternatives and homeless people, and integration in the metaverse, collaboration with other projects within the It Remains franchise.
With the community.
Yes, with.
Yeah.
Summarizing.
Just to clarify, the game that is yet to come, the mini game, is not the game we're actually talking about. This
No,
is just something bonus for you guys.
yeah, the mini game for winning whitelists and for having the chance to earn a free NFT as the greater metaverse game we're talking about is within our vision to develop in the future that is to come and will happen after the first mint, of course.
And moving on to the next, do you have or planning other NFT or blockchain projects the people can join?
We're definitely open to collaborations and we have a lot of ideas, but we're focusing and working on the It Remains resistance now with all our strength and commitment and dedication. Anybody else add something?
Yeah, the focus really here is to push the first act and then finish the novel. So after that, we can like start discussing future collaborations and development of other projects. But we are really focused on this one right now. We really want to invest into this. So moving on to the next. How far are you guys in completing the graphic novel? What was the journey like over the last 2 years? Thank you for the
I
question.
already mentioned that, and Ed will fill me in. I think that we're finished with Act One, but the whole book is still a little bit in a work in progress. But have in mind that these are many acts, just as Neo Game and Sandman was released in little comics, 20 pages each, month after month until it built an audience. So after we finish this collection, me and Ed will need like a month and a half to sit down in a house in the country and do nothing but polish and do some uncensored scalping and dissecting of our story to arrive at a polished, finished project. What do you think about that, Ed? Anything to add?
Well, I may have some responsibilities with my building management side gig, but just
Ed's the
wanna.
best building manager.
Yeah, we have a considerable amount to do. The novel is, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, so yeah.
And there is an interesting one coming. Why Bango?
I just want to clarify on that. The novel is still in the works. The first act is close to be done, right? But the story itself is complete, right, Bango? Or
Yes, the story is complete.
yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to say.
So why Bango?
It's a funny thing. This is basically a little gypsy story. In my country, Bango Vasili is my name, is the gypsy holiday, and I never saw the gypsies as something that's offensive, more like these magical fairy-like people. And I'd been called that before at Burning Man, so there's not much really thought about it. It's more like a joke that I put for Discord. Yeah.
Good thing. And the next, let's not skip it, but let's dive into it. Where do babies come from? Or are there babies in the It Remains world, maybe?
Where do babies come from? From the Yellowmouth, of course. We all know that. You and I came from that, no?
Yeah. Nice. There is an interesting question from MJ. For the future of the It Remains dystopian world, have you considered utilizing other mediums? Perhaps the Unreal Engine, and in particular its metaverse, could be used for marketing, partnerships, or even technical advancements.
Well, that sounds really interesting. We haven't considered specifically Unreal Engine, but we are always open to suggestions. And if you have any ideas regarding that, feel free to share them with us.
Yeah, we are open for elaborating on such ideas. So, teaser for you guys. Tomorrow we are opening Twitter Space, maybe tomorrow, and we will have like live sessions. You can now join. We can discuss everything. We can discuss the development. You could give ideas. We are open-minded, so yeah, everything is welcome, and we appreciate you being next to us and discussing. I think this was the last question. Maybe we can get to the closure of the session. I thank you all for sticking into the end, and really a message for the people who listened to the recording, who survived for so long. We really hope and appreciate if you're providing your feedback on the art, on the story, on the development of the project and everything. We're open to ideas. Yeah, don't save them for yourselves. Share them, and we really expect of you to engage into the community, talk to us, get to know us, and we will build something together after all. Any last words from the rest of the group?
Yeah, guys, thank you for supporting us, for being here with us. If you like what you see, just know that it's only the tip of the iceberg and a lot more is coming soon. We'd like to hear more about what you think of our twisted little world. And remember, hang on, but let go. Take it easy, but take it. Resist.
Famous last words.
Yep, don't sit, resist.
Walk the walk.
Walk the walk.
Does anybody have any questions?
I will cut the recording now, and
hopefully this time you save it, man. Please
I
do.
will. I will. This time I will. 3, 2, 1, and